Sourdough is a naturally leavened bread that you can use to make sandwiches or just enjoy as a snack. Here's how you can make some at home. First of all, you'll need a sourdough starter that you have fed 12 hours before. To learn how to make your own starter, click the link in the description below. Mix your starter with water and salt in a large container or bowl with a lid. When the starter is well hydrated, add all-purpose flour and use clean hands to bring a rough dough together without kneading it. Once it's just combined, cover with a lid and let it sit at room temperature for about 90 minutes. After an hour and a half, remove the lid and now it's time to fold. Using wet hands, start by folding the edges inward to create a rough rectangle, then grab one corner, gently stretch it up and out, then fold it into the center again. Repeat this for all 4 corners, then reshape it into a rectangle, cover and let it sit at room temperature for another hour or so. Repeat this stretch and fold routine another 1 or 2 times, allowing it to rest for at least 30 minutes in between. Finally, let the dough sit and ferment for 5 to 6 hours at room temperature. When the dough has increased in size and you can see evidence of bubbles forming inside, it's time to shape it. You can do this by turning the dough over on a clean surface and folding the edges towards the center to create a rough circle. Pinch the middle to help keep its shape, then flip it over and use clean, wet hands to shape the dough by pulling it across your working surface and rotating it until a loose ball forms. Now transfer the dough to a very well-floured kitchen towel placed inside a large bowl. Sprinkle the top with more flour, then fold the rest of the towel over top and tightly cover the whole thing with plastic wrap. This now needs to rest in the fridge for 12 hours. After 12 hours, test the texture by lightly poking the dough. You'll notice that it springs back quickly, which means it's still too cold to bake. It will need to come back up to room temperature, which will take about another 2 hours. While that rests, preheat your oven to 500 degrees Fahrenheit or as hot as it can go and place a Dutch oven or baking stone inside to get piping hot. This is really important, don't skip this step. After 2 hours, your dough should have expanded and should spring back more slowly than before. When you're ready to bake, place a sheet of parchment paper over the dough and invert it onto your working surface. Now gently peel the kitchen towel off the dough. If you find it sticks, you can spray the dough and towel with a little water, then use your fingers to hold the dough back while you pull the towel off. Next, generously sift flour over the dough and use a pastry brush to sweep off the excess. You'll need to cut a slit about an inch deep down the center of your dough since it will expand in the oven. If you don't do this, it might pop open and it won't look as nice. You can also add decorative shallow slits along the sides if you like, but these are optional. Now transfer the dough and parchment paper to your extremely hot Dutch oven. Be very careful not to touch the pot since you'll get burned. Before you bake, spritz the top with a little more water, then cover with the lid and place in a 450-degree oven for 15 minutes. At this point, you can remove the lid and return it to the oven for another 15 to 20 minutes. It will need to cool slightly before you can slice into it and enjoy. Subscribe to Dished for more baking recipes.